Minister, I think the best we can get from these sessions is when we ask questions and get some answers. So I'm just going to ask you some questions, and we ask your question, get some answer, and then just come back on them, please. And apologies in advance if I'm interjecting or rushing you. There's a lot of questions to be asked at the minute. In the absence of any further clarity today, I want to go back to your statement on Friday, the statement that released from your department. And the statement that confirmed their summer education programme will take place for children with significant special education needs and those at greatest risk of educational disadvantage. She went on to quote, "It gives us an opportunity to provide a vital additional support for some of children with significant special educational needs and those who have been at risk of educational disadvantage since schools closed in March." My first question is, at primary school level, is this a mixture of students who would traditionally avail of the regular July provisions and those at greater risk of educational disadvantage now being added? And if that is the case, and I get from your responses that they have been, how do you propose to meet those very diverse and very complex different needs of those students with the same programme, considering that those students will have been off school 6 months to this point?
Okay. There's 3 strands, if you want to break it down, Deputy, into specifics. And the 3 strands, there's a health-based strand. I'm working very, very closely with Minister Harris, and his officials are working closely with mine for children with medical complex needs. So there's potentially 600 students in that category. I'm meeting Minister Harris now at 3 o'clock to go through that again and what the work that we've done and coming up with a roadmap for those particular children. There's also the traditional July provision, which 10,000 students availed of last year. That's been the average for the last couple of years. 70% of those were based at home, 30% were based in school. So I want to add that July provision. I want to ensure that Down syndrome is included. They weren't included before. So that's additionality to the July provision, which is going to be new. And I want to just re-emphasise here today again that there's a lot of students with specific disabilities in mainstream. They're not going to be excluded. They will be included also. And just the third strand, to answer your question, and I know you want to rush me to get to the next one, but the third strand is disadvantage, and I know that's your specific concern here. So we're looking at school completion, we're looking at literacy and numeracy in both primary and secondary. There's 70 schools, JESH schools in the literacy and numeracy programme. We want to add to that as well. So that's another area of additionality.
Deputy.
With that additionality comes a great expectation that you're placing on the teachers and the SNAs who will be expected to deliver the programme. So I just want to talk a little bit further about that and about the supports that they might be offered. So when we speak, Evan, there's a lot about well-being in your opening contribution and being placed on this particular programme. So what exactly does that look like in terms of the well-being programme in the schools? And if teachers and SNAs are being asked to run the programme, are they equipped to support young people with such complex, with such diverse emotional needs? And we know SNA, we know teachers do an incredible job, but these are not normal times. So some students who come back in late August or September, they'll need access to counselling. They'll have experienced trauma, and we've all heard some really difficult cases over the last while. And when they return to the summer programme, will they seek that support from their teachers? Will there be counselling available for it? Will there be counselling available? And I'm particularly thinking of NEPs. Will NEPs be provided and supported within the schools? And will we be able to triage the most difficult cases? So not just guidelines from NEPs, actual having NEPs on the ground and being able to triage the most difficult cases.
Minister.
Thank you.
About a minute and a half for this one.
Yeah, well, look, NEPs are continually involved and have been involved and very, very directly involved with schools since the 12th of March. And in fact, NEPs would have had a significant role to play in determining the cancellation of the Leaving Cert in terms of the impact on well-being and mental health of students. So NEPs has a critical role. Part of the weakness and the negative that we've identified within the department is because of the regression, it's about reconnecting to the schools. So even from engagement with parents and even individual engagements I have with parents, parents want to see a stepping stone. So this is a stepping stone to re-engagement and reconnecting to the school in August, September, and whatever support's needed. If there's students that need support, to answer your question, in terms of counselling support or any other support that's needed, that support, range of support is there through NEPs, and obviously that would be provided.
expect will be providing that support, because I think it's a concern a lot of schools are having. I want to go to this document, Minister, you'll be familiar with, and that's one of the reasons I was disappointed we didn't get more information in your opening address today, because I know that in Dáil you're having a call with Dáil on Friday, and they've received this particular document here on Tuesday, which is the guidance on the summer programme. There's a lot of very welcome detail in that I wish we had got today, and I'm going to try to phase out some of that detail, and for the benefit of the members I'll read a little bit of what's involved in it. So, on page 4 of that document you gave to the schools on Tuesday, it says the optimal time for delivery of the summer programme is as close to the official reopening of schools as possible. So my question on that is, the time nearest reopening will also coincide with the Leaving Cert results in mid-August. So do we have a date for the Leaving Cert results to ensure that that doesn't overlap with the summer programme? And will we have extra resources on the ground, because Dáil schools in particular will be stretched around this time?
Yeah, look, there'll be further clarity on that range of openings, but one of the things that I've identified in my officials and the people, the team that I work with, is like, because you've 2 strands to the summer programme, you've got the home-based one and the school-based one, so you could be looking at different starting points for for example, the home-based one, and the registration, once it starts on Friday, we're going to have a very simplified process. I don't want a bureaucratic process in terms of getting the basic information to the department. So we want to start that process. So we're looking at July, and obviously there could be an overlap into August potentially for some of the school-based programmes.
Okay. That's somewhat different to what's in the document here, so that's okay. On page 5 of this particular document here, under the heading of physical, social and emotional well-being, students should support to be healthy, to stay physically active, to eat nutritious food, lots of guidelines around well-being. These measures to support young people, well, may be sufficient for the general support of all students, but do they dig deep enough to support strongly enough the complex emotional and behavioural issues principals no students will return with? As teachers try to deal with these issues, what emotional supports are going to be offered to the teachers themselves? And Minister, we've heard, and some of the schools that I've contacted over the last couple of days looking for some guidance about this particular session, they've talked to me about students who've been in their room for the best part of 3 months. They haven't really gotten outside, they've piled on weight, they've got emotional issues, some have experienced traumatic events in their own home lives. Teachers are going to be faced with the brunt of that as soon as this programme starts. How are we going to support the teachers who are faced with, and the SNAs who are actually being asked to deal with students on their first point of contact back into the school environment?
Thanks, Deputy Minister. You've got a minute on this one.
Yeah, look, there's always going to be individual examples and individual cases, but in the main, Deputy, what has happened since the 12th of March? Schools have stayed connected. Schools haven't closed. While school buildings have closed, they haven't. The education hasn't closed. So parents, with children with special needs, they have seen ongoing engagement, be it the SNA, principals staying in touch, and maybe not in all cases, but in the main, that has been the feedback that we're getting. So what's been missing here is actually the physical presence in the school, and that's why we want to reconnect. We feel that this is a stepping stone for a lot of children who have potentially regressed, but also it's an opportunity as well for parents to acknowledge. And I'm just thinking of one of the parents I spoke to this morning. She couldn't praise the SNA highly enough in terms of that ongoing connection. So it's about reconnecting. And yes, where there are gaps, where there are teachers that need support, those are issues that we need to be very mindful of, because we've all gone through this pandemic, and some of us have been affected in a more negative way than others, and especially people who've lost loved ones.
Final question, brief one, Deputy.
Yeah, Minister, to be fair, we say in the main, but it's not just the exceptional cases where schools are having trauma. I mean, the only document here given to the schools on Tuesday highlights some real problems that are not just happening to 1 or 2 individual cases. They're being reported from schools across the board, and I'm going to read some of them. A lack of digital voices, students not having access to necessary technological skills, students not having appropriate space or facilities to work in from at home, the lack of scaffolding or learning that will take place in classrooms. These are actually what's going to be happening almost in every school coming back. So I think it's important that we factor that in for every school. I might write you with the rest of my questions as well, because there's a number of them there.